The Euros is now over. England lost the final to Spain 2-1 in what was, an alright final. Spain were the better team, they deserved to win. It's unfortunate for England, but again, we go again in 2026. That's when it's going to come home. You could say England sort of scammed their way to the final. I mean, we didn't look convincing at all, but we played tournament football, and at the end of the day, we got to the final. We deserved to be there, whether you like it or not, and obviously we lost on the day. But like I said, Spain were absolutely the best team in the tournament, a joy to watch. But enough glazing over Spain. Today we're here to talk about England. We are going to be ranking every single England player from the 23-man squad at Euro 2024 out of 10, basically. Starting off with the goalkeepers, and Jordan Pickford. You've got to give him his flowers, man. I really feel bad for Jordan Pickford. I think he's been one of England's best players over the past few years. He always turns up in these tournaments. Again, he's had pretty much a flawless tournament again, and maybe a goal here and there he could have saved, but overall his charisma, I love Jordan Pickford. And again, kept a few clean sheets in there, made some very important saves. So for me, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I think he's up there with one of the best keepers this tournament. And like I said, he always turns up for England. Now, with the players that made no appearances, it's hard to really, give them a grade. I was umming and ahhing whether to give them just nothing out of 10 or at least put a 6 out of 10, which is just average, just them being there. But instead, I've decided just to not give them a grade. Like Dean Henderson and Aaron Ramsdale, for example, they're both walking away with no grades because they didn't play a single minute in the tournament. Kyle Walker, for me, he's been one of England's best players over the past few years, but this tournament, wow, he was bad. I don't know if it's age catching up to him or what, but again, it's hard to point out, and I hate doing it, but I think both goals he was at fault for against Spain the other day. I'm just thinking, is age catching up to him? I mean, he used to just rely on his pace a lot, but even that, like Nico Williams was having him on toast a little bit in that game as well. I'm going to have to give him a 4 out of 10. I don't think he was up to the normal standards. Ezri Konsa came in for a full game when Mark Gahey was suspended, but he also played here and there off the bench. I'm going to give him a 6. I think he was an average 6 when he played. Definitely not as good as Mark Gahey, but again, you've got to give him his credit. He came in when we needed him, and he did all right. Luke Shaw, well, he only played the final, didn't he, from the start anyway. Came off the bench against Switzerland in extra time and also came off the bench at half-time against the Netherlands in the semi-final. In the final, again, flawless, probably our best player on the day. But again, I mean, didn't play until the quarter-final. Sporadic minutes there, played half of the game against Holland, so it's hard to really judge him as well. I'm going to give him a standard... No, you know what? I'm going to give him a 5. He's going to have to be below average. I mean, if he was fully fit, he'd probably be getting higher because he would have played in the group games, the round of 16, but he was missing for them because he was still injured. And again, that's always the problem with Luke Shaw. Kieran Trippier played pretty much every single game bar the final. He was Mr. Reliable, wasn't he, Kieran Trippier? He always is for England, but he just looked a bit out of his depth on the left-hand side. Not defensively, I think he was okay. But going forward, you noticed it. We couldn't do much because he didn't have that natural left foot to whip those crosses in. He was always wanting to come back onto his right foot, and that sort of dampened us a little bit, especially in the group stages. But for Trippier, I'm going to give him an average 6. I think he was okay for us. Joe Gomez, Lewis Dunk didn't play any minutes as far as I'm aware in the tournament, so they walk away with no score. Jon Stones, again, I think he was a bit underwhelming this tournament. We know Jon Stones is probably the best ball-playing defender in the world of football at the minute, but I didn't see those qualities that I normally see for Manchester City and in England, and even in an England shirt in the past. I didn't see that with Stones this tournament. I'm just glad he was able to play pretty much every game. I'm surprised he didn't get injured in one of the games, so that's a positive, I guess. But for Stones, for me, I've got to give him less than average because I think he's so much better than what he's shown here. He's going to get a 5 for me. Now, Mark Gahey, for me, was probably England's best player in the tournament. People obviously had question marks and worries about the lack of Harry Maguire being in the squad. Obviously, he missed out due to injury. And I think he played really well. He's probably our best defender of the tournament. We didn't miss him awfully too much when he obviously was suspended and Konsa filled in, but I think that's more credit to Ezri Konsa than it is, obviously, about Mark Gahey. Unbelievable this tournament. Probably England's best player along with Pickford. He's going to get an 8 for me. Trent AlexanderArnold, he started the first few games in midfield before Southgate eventually realised that it wasn't working. I still think Trent should have got more minutes, whether it was for Kyle Walker or even on the left side before Luke Shaw started playing. He's going to get a 6 for me for Trent, mainly because of that penalty sending us to the semi-finals. But overall, again, I wanted to see more of Trent. Adam Wharton didn't play, unfortunately. I think this tournament came a bit too soon for him, maybe. I don't know. I would have given him a go, but Southgate didn't want to, so no score. Now, Declan Rice, again like Jon Stones, had a bit of an underwhelming tournament for me. I think he looked really out of his depth in a lot of games, especially when Kobby Mayu started to come in. I think Mayu outshone him in that midfield area. I think there was a lot of times Declan Rice got caught on the ball. I mean, we saw it for the Netherlands goal, which Xavi Simons brilliantly put away. Declan Rice got caught on the ball and Holland went and scored a worldie. Yeah, I think he was just a little bit out of his depth this tournament, Rice, so I'm going to put a 5 out of 10 on him. Kobby Mayu, for me, excellent. When he played, obviously Southgate kept him in the team. He did take him off quite often, though. I think that's because he's a bit too scared to take Declan Rice off, even though Mayu was playing a lot better, and obviously Rice wasn't up to his usual standards. He did tend to bring Mayu off first, but that's probably an age thing though. But again, if you're old enough, you're good enough. If you're good enough, you're old enough. I thought he was very, very good against Holland in that first half, as were England as a whole. He's going to walk away with a 7 for me, Kobby Mayu. Conor Gallagher, like Conor Gallagher, but I don't really understand the minutes he was getting. I mean, he was coming on for Trent a lot, and then he started the last group game. He's going to walk away with a 5 for me, Conor Gallagher. Jude Bellingham. Now, I think he had an alright tournament, but I think he is, dare I say it, one of the most overhyped, overrated players in world football. I love Jude Bellingham. I think he's a great, great footballer, but there were certain times in that tournament where I'm like, just pass it, mate. Just pass the ball. I mean, we can't forget that overhead kick, though. Kept us in the tournament at the end of the day. A big goal against Serbia as well. He certainly made his mark, even in the final, setting up that Cole Palmer goal. So he has those moments, but I think sort of in the games, he sort of either goes missing or he tries and makes the basics look really, really hard. A simple pass there. Pass it to Rice, pass it to Mayu. They're just there. He'll turn left, he'll turn right, he'll drag back. He might do a little step over, and then he'll pass it when a player comes to him. It's a bit annoying, but that's his game. I have no real issues with his attitude. I think in football, you've got to have an attitude, and he does back it up a lot, to be fair to him. So for Bellingham, I am going to give him a 7. Eberechi Eze, he's on this shirt, he's vibes, I love him. He didn't get to showcase an awful lot in this tournament, but we know what he's capable of. He's going to get an average 6 for me just because I don't think he got the amount of minutes he maybe deserves or didn't really have that big impact on a game. Jarrod Bowen, again, made sporadic appearances, but I can only give him a 5. He didn't do too much. Anthony Gordon, did he come on for 4 minutes in a game? Did he even play? I'm sure he came on for 4 minutes against Slovenia at the end of a game or something, but again, we should have started him in certain games. He likes to run at players, beat a man, drive forward, put a ball in the box, and I think this would have helped Harry Kane an awful lot as well. But Southgate didn't want to do that. He wanted to play the 2-10s instead of having those fast, tricky wingers. Is he to blame for that? I don't know. I think Gordon should have got more minutes. So, I mean, what can I give him? He played 4 minutes in the tournament. 5? Ivan Toney, I think, was alright when he played. He definitely added something off the bench. I mean, he set up that Harry Kane winner in extra time against Slovakia, didn't he? He's just a nuisance, isn't he, for defenders? So I do really like Ivan Toney. I am going to give him the average. No, you know what? I'll give him a 6.5 because he did get that key assist for the Harry Kane goal. Speaking of Harry Kane, it was lacklustre, wasn't it? Now, I still think he was carrying an injury for the majority of this tournament. I mean, you could tell when he was getting brought off, he didn't look too disheartened. The captain being hooked an hour into a game and he wasn't really that bothered. I think he knows himself he wasn't fully fit. He scored a goal here and there, to be fair to him, but I don't like him dropping so deep. It really irritates me during the games. Just get in the box. Like I said, I think Kane would have been a lot better if he had those pacey wingers. We're used to seeing him with Saka, Sterling, Rashford, Gordon even. If they're playing, I think Kane gets in the box a lot more and gets on the end of some crosses. My opinion. Although he scored 3 goals, his overall play wasn't great. I'm giving him a 6. Ollie Watkins, again, got that massive goal to send us to the final. We've got to rate him highly for that. Other than that, though, he was coming on at the end of games, not doing too much. But for that goal alone, I'm going to give him a 7. Phil Foden. Now, I was quite critical of Foden, especially in the group stages. I think he could have added a lot more. And he's never really turned up in an England shirt. I've been saying this a lot. Is he just a Pep system player? I don't know. We know he doesn't really get the goals and the assists for England, but he does add certain things to the team, particularly in the quarterfinals. That's when I think he sort of kicked on. Played all right against Switzerland. He played really well against Holland. I think him and Mayu had a good little relationship here and there with Saka as well. He got really close, hitting the bar a few times, having some good chances, but it just wasn't going to come for him. But overall, he didn't have a massive impact on the team. He's just won like Player of the Year, hasn't he, in the Premier League? So what's that about? I've got to give him an average 6 because, again, he could have added so much more if we got to see the Man City Phil Foden. He was obviously playing out of position in the group stage as well. He was playing on the left and he wasn't really getting in the game. He didn't have that left back to overlap him. Bukayo Saka up next. I think he was very good for England this tournament. He's up there with Gahey and Pickford as the sort of the standout players. He's a direct winger. We saw it with his goal cutting in on that left foot, burying it against Switzerland. Very tidy finish. I liked, obviously, it took him a while to sort of actually get at players, but he did do it. He did do it towards the end. I would have liked to see a little bit more from Saka, but he took his penalty really well in the shootout as well. He's going to walk away with a 7, Bukayo Saka. And finally, Cole Palmer, the man who scored the goal in the European Championship final. I think Cole Palmer was sort of the Jack Grealish of 2021 in this tournament. I mean, everyone wanted him subbed on. I even heard people wanting him starting games as well. 3 minutes into games, get Saka off, put Palmer on. So he was sort of that Jack Grealish figure from 2021 where everyone wanted him on the pitch as well. I think when Cole Palmer came on, he added a lot to our game. He was chipping in with assists. He assisted the Emile Watkins goal. He scored in the final. He does tend to add something different off the bench. Whether that's collecting the ball from deep, driving forward, giving it to Saka, or asking for it back on the edge of the box. I don't know. I think Palmer maybe could have started a game here and there, but when he came off the bench, he still performed. 7 out of 10. And that's it, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think I've missed anyone off, but if I have, let me know. I can't be bothered to check it. I'd even point out my hair. I've been in the shower just before this. It's literally 11:30 at night. I need to get to bed. See you next time.